Hello, insiders. Welcome. I am so excited today. I have such an awesome guest for you. I can't believe you said yes, Eliza. Like I asked, ask and you shall receive. I followed my own advice and amazing things happen. I'm so excited. I have Eliza Licht from, gosh, you may know her from DKNY PR Gal. Was a Twitter account that had 500,000 Twitter followers. She is a fashion industry veteran and the founder and president of Leave Your Mark. She was the longtime SVP of Global Communications for Donna Karan International. Like, dream job, right? Amazing, amazing career path. And with DKNY, she was responsible for overseeing the worldwide strategy and creating some of the most talked about PR campaigns in the industry. And while she was there, kind of towards the end of her tenure, she wrote this incredible book, Leave Your Mark, Land Your Dream Job, Kill It in Your Career, Rock Social Media. And if anyone knows how to talk about rocking social media, it's Eliza. I have followed you for a really long time. We have personally engaged on Twitter for a while. Well, I basically kind of stalked you and harassed you a little bit by engaged. You know, that's the way you're supposed to do it, right? Kind of established a relationship. I have a very busy Twitter feed, but I put you in a very limited column of people that I actually cared about seeing their content. So I was always seeing everything you were posting, and I loved how on social media, even though you had this big presence and a big job, you were always focused on answering people and having conversations and acknowledging everybody's praise and feedback for you in a very genuine way. So I noticed that. Is that one of your strategies for social?
Well, first of all, thank you for the lovely intro. I'm happy to be here and happy to immerse into the Insiders group. Yes, actually, I think authenticity from the beginning, again, it was intuitive because it's not like I was trained to do this, right? You sort of touch it, you own it. But authenticity was definitely a core value of social media, even for me back in 2009 when I started, and it certainly still is today.
Yeah, and speaking of authenticity, your approach for DKNY PR Gal was a really different and interesting approach. So you established it as kind of like a human behind the scenes view inside the company through social media, like this kind of all access pass. And also in the first couple of years you had this account, your real identity was like a total mystery. Right. Yep. And it was so exciting when like your real personal, identity was revealed. All of us publicists were like, oh my God, this is who she is. It was like so cool. So why was that? That was obviously an intentional decision. Tell me a bit about the thought behind that strategy.
So first of all, you're so cute that you call her gal. So she's a girl.
Oh, girl, I'm sorry.
Yes, and not a woman, for sure not. You have to think back. You have to put your brain back to 2009 for a second. Remember, fashion brands weren't really on Twitter yet. And DKNY legitimately was one of the first brands to sort of dabble. Like any good company, legal gets involved, and they're like, okay, one person's going to handle this. Eliza, you're in PR, you do it.
Okay.
But previous to that, before I got designated the sole poster, was really my inspiration for it was Gossip Girl.
Oh, okay, very cool.
And I thought, because we didn't want people to think that Donna Karan was posting, because she wasn't. And we weren't especially interested in highlighting anyone from the company. So I thought, well, why not bite off Gossip Girl and position this behind the scenes view into the world of Donna Karan through the lens of PR, anonymously, and have it be represented by a fashion illustration. So that's what we did. And so it wasn't that it was intentionally anonymous, like I'm hiding. It was more like it didn't matter that it was me because it was never about me. It was about the voice.
Right.
But, doing that became a lesson in and of itself because, of course, I had never been on Twitter before. I certainly didn't realize that people were going to respond, ask questions, and engage. And slowly but surely it gained traction. And I also think that I was very fortunate that management supported me in the sense that I didn't have to pre-approve anything.
Mm-hmm. Oh, awesome.
I never had a content calendar.
So you could be really authentic with whatever came your way. And when you have those layers of pre-approval and batch producing content, it just becomes very, planned and inauthentic, and it's not what social media is about. At least not what we preach that it's about.
It's not, but I do understand that brands have to be careful with how long their leashes are. Mm-hmm. And I think that unless you've been through a really intensive brand immersion where you really have that voice down and you understand the DNA and you're not going to screw it up, I understand why there are content calendars. And it's what I did is very rare in the sense to have that freedom to really, really, represent a brand or humanize the brand in social when you're not the designer. Mm-hmm. I think was really the first time that happened. And certainly, PR, it's like we're behind the scenes. We're the messengers.
Right.
We are the crafters of the statement. We are not the attraction.
The star of the show. Yeah,
exactly.
Absolutely.
So,
yeah.
So after 2 years, it became so big that it almost became a burden to keep the secret.
Yeah.
And so we decided to not.
So once you were like out, because I remember that moment, we were all like, oh my God.
It was 2011.
Yeah, identity reveal. I was early adopter on Twitter too, so I kind of saw this whole thing evolve. It was exciting to see a fashion brand put so much out there that was behind the scenes, and it gave us this real kind of exciting insider look. And my clients are a lot smaller, so we were able to kind of take those mm-hmm. concepts and adjust them for our clients in a, smaller way.
That's
yeah,
right.
But then so, once you were revealed, then how did you ultimately use social media to build your own personal brand? Because then you had your own account and you had your own persona and you became an author, best-selling author. And you're known for your fiery red hair and your red lips and your red nails. Like, that's part of your personal brand. So how did you use social media to establish your personal brand?
Well, first of all, I would love to tell you that I am this brilliant person who had this 5-year strategy, but I'm not. I think everything about this has been an organic evolution. And really, because I'm a natural mentor and I'm constantly trying to promote even my own team and grow people. Just historically, that's the kind of manager I am. I naturally started giving advice on Twitter mm-hmm. as the PR girl. So advice that I considered PR 101, people would come back and say, you know what, that's life 101 or that's business 101. And, it would strike me and I would be like, you know what, they're right. It is. And I just found myself having all of these things to say that maybe there were aspiring publicists out there who were working for smaller brands who could learn something. So similar to you, it's like putting out, nuggets of wisdom through just, 20 years in the fashion industry. You kind of absorb some stuff, right? And that led to an editor contacting me to write a book. So I had no intention of writing a book. I actually said no to writing a book. I didn't think I could write a book. I certainly didn't know what I would write about. And she was really good at her job. Mm. And she stayed on me. And eventually I realized that it could maybe be my way of grabbing coffee with everyone who's like, we grab a coffee. I'm trying to change careers or whatever. And so that's why it's a coffee cup.
Right.
And of course, red lips, because like you said, those are my lips every day in my coffee cup.
Right.
So, that really, it was an organic evolution. I wasn't setting out to build a personal brand. And in fact, I'll never forget, I think it was back in 2011 or 2012 maybe, Todd Wasserman from Mashable mm-hmm. called me and he was like, I'm doing a story on big Twitter community managers who don't have their own personal Twitter handles. He's like, why don't you have one? I'm like, I think I forgot to make one. I'm not
like, who has time?
And then I said to him, I'm like, no, I didn't forget to make one. I put so much of my personal into DQY PR Girl. I didn't really even think there was anything left for me to say personally. But also, when I was anonymous, I was scared that people would recognize that it was the same voice.
The same tone, yeah.
So sort of why. So as far as building a personal brand, I think, hair and makeup aside, which, obviously repetition is reputation, right? So the more you do something, the more people know you do it.
Right.
But, as far as personal branding, to your question, I think that, and this is one of the things we'll get to later when we talk about entrepreneurship, I think that a brand or a person, you can't assume that anyone understands what you do or what you stand for. So if you don't spoon feed it to them,
Sure.
they're going to make up their own definition of what it is that you do.
Right. It's funny you say spoon feed. We talk about that. It's actually a good transition to my next question.